All right, good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing today? How is everyone doing today? Hey, this is Gregory Wilds coming live to you from Houston, Texas, with this inspirational morning walk. Hey, today I can sit in the vehicle and give my little word. For first time listeners, I usually exercise in the mornings and just share my thoughts with you guys while I'm exercising. But today I'm going to sit in here again when I have, a few pages. Depends on what I'm inspired to talk about. I just got to make sure I'm comfortable and I can, um, you know, so flip through these pages so I can get everything to you properly. But good morning, Renita. Good morning. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? Hey, it's a beautiful day here. We in the 60s, upper 60s. Nice weather. I can enjoy walking today. This is a nice time of the year. Yes, so guys, if you miss anything, could always go on YouTube and find everything that we do. I usually try to post everything on YouTube within the hour after I'm finished. So that's my goal. Well, yes. I know we had an idle juicy topic. So, what if anyone searched the home, anyone find anything that concerns them and was surprised like I did after I come into this revelation? But what we're going to do today, we're going to look at that same story in Joshua 7:1 that we look at. We look at it from the angle of the accursed thing that Achan brought into the house and bringing accursed things in your home and the effects what you have. You're setting yourself up for destruction when you bring the accursed things. And we kind of say a quick little recap. Bringing the accursed thing in your home is like giving the enemy an address. Yes, like giving the enemy an address of where to come. You remember, the evil forces are not omnipresent. They can't recognize you in the spiritual realm without something to recognize you by. They just cannot just go and say, go and find Gregory. They can't identify you without something. They need something to identify you. That's why these things you bring into your house is like portal. That's there. Okay, you can go to this house. They have an address to go to. That's like the example what I use. In the case of the accursed thing, that stuff is in your house, and that's the address that you can go to. That's when the example I use, you and your spouse or your husband, wife, whoever, y'all out of the house, y'all on vacation or went to some party or something, y'all might be having a great time. And then as soon as y'all get back home, y'all gone back fighting and bickering and quarreling because the accursed thing is in the home. When y'all outside of the home, they can't identify you. That stuff is in the house, so not until you come back in there, right? So that's how the accursed thing. We talk about that, and we talk about that's from Joshua 7:1. But let's look at Joshua 7:1 again. And there's another little thing we need to learn from this. And it's a mistake we all, a lot of us make on a daily basis. A lot of us make this mistake on a daily basis, right? We need to consult God before doing anything, regardless of whether how big or small it is. We need to consult Him, right? And we're going to look at this story and examine it. We can go back. Marcy, Michael, good morning. Good morning. Thanks for watching. So we can go back to this story. We can look at the Battle of Jericho, because I mentioned the Battle of Jericho in when I was talking about how they defeated Jericho, right? And then we can look at this battle of AI when they're going and when after the accursed thing, and they were defeated in AI, which is a much smaller nation than Jericho, right? So let's look at the Battle of Jericho, and then we can discuss some other things that we can learn from it for our daily lives, right? So let's look at Joshua 5:13 through 15, 5:13 through 15, right? When Joshua was near the tongue of Jericho, he looked up and saw a man standing in front of him with sword in hand. Joshua went up to him and demanded, "Are you a friend or a foe?" So let me give you a little backdrop here. So they was about to go in Jericho, right? God had given Joshua, tell him how to prepare. Joshua just took over from Moses' reign after Moses had died. So Joshua just took over. God gave him all his instructions. They're getting ready to go into Jericho. He had sent men to spy out the land. I don't know if you remember the story. He'd sent some men in there. Remember went to that prostitute house, which was Rahab, and she hid them there. When the king got word that Joshua sent men to spy out the land, she hide them in her house, and then, long story short, she make a covenant with them and say, man, you know what, we all are afraid of Israel. We know, we heard all the great things what God do for Israel, and so, the whole nation of Jericho is scared, and I want y'all make me a promise when y'all come into defeat, you don't kill me, because she hid them, and they made a covenant with her. Well, could anybody in your household, when we come in, we're going to protect you. We're going to save anyone in your household and all that, right? So they was ready to go into the battle. They're preparing for the battle now. That's why I can read it from Joshua 5:13 through 15, right? So Joshua do all his due diligence, everything that God told him to do, how to prepare for the battle. He had to get the people circumcised and all the good stuff. You could go back and read it. But I'm going to pick it up from 5:13, right? So Joshua was near the tongue of Jericho. He's going into Jericho now. So he's near the tongue. He looked up and saw a man standing in front of him with sword in hand. Joshua went up to him and demanded, are you a friend or a foe? Like, are you with us or are you with them? You with us or are you with them? Here the man replied, neither one. He replied, I am the commander of the Lord's army. The man said, I'm the commander of the Lord's army. At this, Joshua fell with his face to the ground in reverence. I am at your command, Joshua said. What do you want your servant to do? So this man, he saw with his sword in his hand. Joshua asked him, hey, are you with us or with them? Are you a friend or a foe? The man said, neither. I'm the commander of the Lord's army. So now, guys, this tell me the Lord got a big army and he got a commander of his army, right? He said he's the commander of the Lord's army, right? And Joshua asked him, what do you want me to do? The commander of the Lord's army replied, take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy. And Joshua did as he was told, right? That's Joshua 5:13 through 15. Now let's go on to Joshua 6. Now I want to see what happened, right? So now the gates of Jericho were securely barred because of the Israelites. No one went out or no one came in. So Jericho was scared, as this prostitute tell these guys. Jericho was scared. Everybody was scared because the Israelites just come defeating all these nations, and they heard all the great things, how God parted the Red Sea and how God gave them victory. So they were scared. So they shut up this city, right? Then the Lord said to Joshua, see, I have delivered Jericho into your hands, along with its kings and its fighting men. Stick a pin right there. I want to explain this, and I can keep beating this point home so people can understand. Joshua, what this said, Joshua was near the tongue of Jericho, and he saw this man. The battle didn't happen yet. Joshua in fight no battle yet with Jericho. He's now on his way there. But here what the king, the commander of the Lord's army told Joshua. See, this way he bringing this way the Lord, he's saying on behalf of God. He's saying, see, I have delivered Jericho into your hands, along with its king and its fighting men. I have delivered. Man, you don't got to be an English major. Delivered means this is done, right? Once it got an ED, all the English majors out there, tell me, when a word have ed at the end of it, this means this is like past tense, right? This is something that's already done. I have delivered Jericho into your hands, but this battle ain't happened yet. So how he delivered Jericho into his hands with his king and his fighting men, and this battle ain't happened yet? But yet, so this man saying, is he gone crazy? No, that's what we're saying, and I want Christians to get this point. That the spiritual world is real. Things happen there before it happened here in this physical world. God had done give Joshua the victory spiritually. So it's just time. He got to pretty much do nothing. But for it to happen here, right? You just got to follow instructions. Just like us, when God said, I bless you, you have all the blessings of spiritual blessings in heavenly places. We just got to follow instructions now, and those things are going to happen. Right? So let's go on. He says, see, I have delivered Jericho into your hands, along with its kings and fighting men. Then now we're giving him some instructions how to make this happen in the physical realm now, right? He said, march around the city once with all the armed men. Do this for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry trumpets of ram's of ram's horns in front of the ark. On the seventh day, march around the city 7 times with the priests blowing the trumpets. When you hear them sound a loud blast on the trumpets, have the whole army give a loud shout. Then the walls of the city will collapse and the army will go up. The army will go up, everyone straight in. So this man giving him some instruction. He said, deliver into your arms, but this is what you got to do, Joshua. You follow these instructions, and this battle is done. You win this battle, but you got to follow these instructions. March around the city for 6 days. Remember the story in how the wall of Jericho come tumbling down. They got a little song about it, right? So he said, march around the city for 6 days. On the 7th day, you blow this trumpet, and then everybody give a loud shout. You're giving them instructions. This is the next protocol here, guys, right? When people go to do the wickedness. And people can always give them instructions. Do this, bring that, bring that. You see, once you do that, right, you are agreeing. That's your way of signing the contract, right? And this was, you see, God giving me, God said, I did this for you already. But this is what you got to do. March around the city 7 times. Then on the 7th day, blow the trumpet, give a shout, the wall's going to fall. Right? So these are spiritual protocols here, guys. These are not just a story. These are spiritual protocols that the enemy also use. When they tell you, bring this, bring that, bring a half bottle of wine, bring an egg, bring a chicken, bring some seawater, whatever you bring in, that's you signing the contract with them and agreeing. And they can do what you want them to do, the wickedness that you want them to do. Same way, it's done. Those things that you got to bring is no significance of the stuff that the wickedness that they're going to do on your behalf. But it's you signing the contract. That's you signing the contract once you bring in those stuff, right? So let's go on. So anyhow, long story short, Joshua did everything what this man tell him to do, and the walls of Jericho came down to defeat Jericho without no casualties. Jericho was a big nation. To defeat them, God gave him specific instructions. He followed it to defeat them with no casualties, right? So let's go on now and look at the battle of Ai, the one that we dealt with last week with the sin of Achan, when Achan took their cursed things, right? It's before they go into Jericho, that's when God tell him, don't touch nothing in there. And the one that we dealt with, the sin of Ai, that's when they went into Jericho there, that's when Ai took of their cursed things, this robe and the gold and silver that he hid in his tent that caused the destruction, right? So now let's look at the battle and compare these two battles with Ai and Jericho. Remember, Ai was much smaller, right? So let's look at Joshua 7:1. But the Israelites were unfaithful in regard to the devoted things. Achan, son of Carmi, son of Zimri, and the son of Zerah of the tribe of Judah, took some of them. So the Lord's anger burned against Israel. This was just saying, he took the stuff that God said, don't touch these stuff when you go to Jericho. He took them, he committed the sin, right? So now Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is near Beth-aven to the east of Bethel, and told them, go up and spy out the region. So the men went up and spy out the region. Same thing happened, right? In Jericho, he sent men to go and spy out the land. I tell you, when the prostitute take them in and hide them in his house, he sent men to spy out the land. He did that here. So far, so good. He sent men to spy out the land. So when these men returned to Joshua, they said, not all the army will have to go up against Ai. Send 2,000 or 3,000 men to take it, and do not weary the whole army, for only a few people live there. So about 3,000 men went up, but they were routed by the men of Ai, who killed about 36 of them. They chased the Israelites from the city gates as far as the stone quarries and struck them down on the slopes. At this, the hearts of the people melted in fear and became like water. So now, two big things here I want to look at. Remember, the captain of the large army came and gave Joshua specific instructions how to defeat Jericho, right? But here, he sent these men to spy out. These men come back and say, hey, light work, small nation, 2,000-3,000 men can take care of this. We don't need to send in the whole army. And Joshua went straight ahead. What's the big mistake he made? You can tell me. He did not consult God if he should go in. Yes, this is one of the cities that God had wanted him to conquer. But you see, He get no word from God. God was silent on this one. God sent no instructions on him on what to do and how to go in and do it. God was silent. But he got overconfident and he went in. Just like what we did today in a lot of things, right? We consult God on the big things. We got a big project coming up. We got some big problem in our hand and it's bigger than us. And we gone and we praying and we waking up every morning and we praying and we asking God, we reading our scriptures. We going to church. And since we get the victory over it, we slack up on the little things like everyday things like, nah, I got this, man. I ain't need to trouble God. This is too small for me to trouble God about. I got this one, you know what I mean? The everyday little problems you tell yourself. And you could make a mistake like Joshua and take a small problem and make it a big problem. Because remember, I tell you, in Jericho, they won the battle without one casualty. None of the soldiers had died. But this little small nation killed 36 of them. And like I said in the last, I sent 3,000 men and 36 died. You might say, 36 is not a lot. But 36 is not a lot until it's one of your somebody that related to you. Whether it's your son or your father or some uncle or somebody. 36 is not a lot until that some one of them is related to you. So it's 36 families suffer there, right? It's just like when people taking this whole the pandemic not seriously. But when someone for them get affected and then to them is real, right? It's just like this. You might say 36 is not a lot because there's no one for you, right? So overconfident. Joshua, other than the Achan sin that caused Israel destructions, right? That's the ultimate. But didn't you think if Joshua had only go to God and say, hey, God, I ain't hearing from you but this one. You give me specific instructions about Jericho. Should I go in? What should I do? You think God want to tell him, but Achan sin? And say, hey, don't go take care of this business first. This somebody in your camp got some stuff. And he would give him the same instructions. After he got defeated, that's when he went to God and asked God what's going on. After he got defeated, then he went to God and said, God, what's happening? You bring us here together. Now we go to God and then God tell him what the issue was. Then he told him. Remember he told him, y'all took your cursed things. You got to go and he gave him specific instructions how to go and find your cursed things. Now, if he'd went to him before and not overconfident and think he's so independent and, this one is small. I don't need God for this one. I could go and take care of them. God would have given the same instructions how to find the cursed thing. And when you find the cursed thing, then to go in. So guys, I'm saying, don't let us get overconfident with our own skills and our own education and our own strength and our own size and our own intelligence and our own this and our own that. And not consult God before we do anything, right? Remember this scripture in John 15:5, what it say? John 15:5. He said, yes, I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who remain in me and I am them will produce much fruit. But here this last part we said, for apart from me, you can do nothing. Apart from me, you can do nothing. So let's consult him, guys. Right? Let's consult him, man. I know I fall victim to that. You got something big coming up. Oh, you're going to church. You're praying every morning. You're reading the scriptures. And you get your victory. You feel good. But then the little things, you ain't going to God every day, praising him, thanking him, and consulting him for the little things. Every little decisions you make, you put it to him and see what he say about it, right? See what he say about it. Right? You're going for a job interview or whatever. You pray that let his will be done and not your will. Because like I'm saying, if you don't do that, don't trust your own flesh. This world is so wicked, and the enemy, like I'm pointing out to you, how much wicked ways he can trick us to get control of us, right? So you can't take no chances. You got to get God guidance all the time on everything you're doing. Because look how we tricked Joshua here. This was a simple little quick thing, but it become a big issue. because he didn't consult God. The enemy got so much of ways. He used his own overconfidence and his own independence against him to cause him to lose that battle, a nation that he was supposed to just sweep off the face of this earth. But he caused him to lose. And that's what the mistake we make a lot of times. Small thing in our life will have become a big thing because we don't consult God before we do it. We're going to get married. We're going to some job. Most times we don't go to God and say, God, is this the right mate that you have for me? I don't care how fancy and how nice they look and what they got. Is this the mate you have for me? Because I want your will be done in my life, not my will, because you remember he said there's ways that seem right to us, but again, in death and destruction, right? So you want his will for your life. Consult him before we do things. Don't only go to him before the big things and what we think we can't handle and we powerless. But everyday things, you go to him and ask them for guidance and ask him, and he gonna guide you. Just like after Joshua go to him, then he tell him what's the problem and how to solve it. But he could have done that before, right, guys? So let's make the mistake as Christians and thinking and get undependent on ourselves. Because like I said, the enemy would give you promotion, get you a big fancy job, give you promotions in the job, make you making a lot of money, but to throw you off on the real thing that God got for you. Because he don't mind you getting the promotions and making a little money and feel like, but he know the impact you gonna make on the kingdom with the thing that God called you for. You're not gonna make the same impact on the job or the field or the thing that you doing, the person with you with that you're not supposed to be with. You're not gonna make the impact that you should make if you follow God's plan, and he okay with that, because God's plan is gonna disrupt his kingdom. God planned for your life. But the thing that he chose for you and push you into and go because you didn't consult God, you're going to be powerless. You're going to be frustrated in the job, making a lot of money, but frustrated, or whatever you're doing. You're doing things, but it's not of what God requires. And it's not going to say it's not good things, but it's not what God has for your life. And you will never make the impact that you should make in life if you don't follow his path. So guys, I'm saying, don't make the mistake like Joshua here and make a small problem become a small issue become a big problem. Consult him for everything you're doing. Put it for him and ask him to let his counsel, let his will prevail in your life and not your own will, right? Remember what it said here in John 15:5. Apart from me, you can do nothing. He said, yes, I'm the vine and you're the branches. Those who remain in me and I am them will produce much fruit. We can produce fruit if we work together with him and consult him, right? We can produce fruit, but apart from me, you can do nothing, guys. I'm going to leave that there, guys. And have a great weekend, guys. And just think about all this thing. Do your own research. Go and do your own reading. But be careful when you're logging on and just doing random searches on the internet, especially with these spiritual kind of things. You're going to run into a lot of psychic websites and people like that that mislead you. So just be very careful. Look at the source where you're getting stuff from. Don't just go and do random searches on the internet just like that. Because these psychic people out there and these spiritualists, they have their websites, they have their stuff. And you're going back up on the wrong thing and it could put you in a whole totally different direction that you don't want to be in, right? So be careful with all the searches. Make sure you're getting sound teaching. You're looking at everything from scriptures. If it's not lining up with these scriptures here, you should be cautious. You should question it more. That's why I try to give you guys scriptures with everything I'm talking. I don't want it to be my opinion, right? So be careful when you're doing your research. Make sure it's lining up with the scriptures. And if it's the one thing and you don't feel too comfortable, know the Holy Spirit trying to tell you and warn you, and do some more research in it. Be a little cautious, right, guys? So have a great weekend, and we'll talk again on Monday. Okay, bye.